South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem recently called for the crackdown on Chinese farmland purchases, perhaps one of the greatest national security threats we're facing. And now, and I'm quoting, a foreign agriculture investment bill has reached the South Dakota legislature, an act that restricts foreign persons, entities, and governments from acquiring farmland exceeding 160 acres. Joining me now is South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem. I am so happy you're doing this. You were on with us maybe 6 months or so ago, and there was this growing concern that the Communist Chinese Party was partnering with entities to buy up farmland in your state and other states. So where does the bill stand? Are you going to get a signature on these?
Yes, absolutely. So I have brought forward legislation with a couple of partners in our legislature that would ban the purchases of ag land in South Dakota by enemies that hate us. So it includes China, and China has been a growing threat to the United States of America. I've been working on food policy, national security issues for over 20 years. We've seen China continue to buy up our fertilizer companies, our chemical companies, our processing systems. Now they're aggressively purchasing land in the United States of America. So we've seen, since 2010 to 2020, them have a 5,000% increase in purchases of land in the United States of America. And that's why we want to make sure that we're protecting South Dakota, but we should be protecting the entire country from our enemies being our neighbors, from owning our greatest asset, which is our land that we'll pass on to our children.
You know, likely our most strategic asset of all, you could argue that oil could be one of them, but certainly our food supply, a huge concern. We're blessed by, two borders and some amazing climate allows us to, be self-sufficient for food as long as the other foreigners don't come in and buy it. And the reason why I say that, Governor, is because over the last couple of years during COVID, they bought Smithfield Foods, the largest pork producer in the world. And they weren't using that plant to process pork for the United States. They were sending a vast majority of it back to China.
It is interesting to watch what China has done here in the United States. We've known for generations that they seek to destroy us as a country. We also have seen them manipulate their currency, steal our IP. We've seen them build up their military. I've worked on farm programs for many, many years. I am a farmer and a rancher, but we saw them buy up our food processing facilities, and their goal is to control our food supply. And when another country controls our food supply, that's truly when they'll control the United States of America, and we are no longer can protect our people. So, with the purchase of Smithfield, with the purchase of other companies in the United States, we've seen the growing threat. Now they're purchasing up our land. That's not going to happen here in South Dakota while I'm governor. We are the home of Ellsworth Air Force Base, which is going to be the home of the next generation bomber, the B-21. And I want to make sure that we don't allow them to secure assets and land near that base to where they could conduct surveillance on our Air Force, on our military. That's a real threat that we have. We saw some interest in China up in North Dakota pursue that and purchase up assets that are close to their Air Force base. We're not going to let that happen here.
If I may, I don't mean to cut you off. That was Fufang, the Fufang company, which also, by the way, folks, any company, the Communist Chinese Party is a partner in any company doing business. So Fufang comes and buys a piece of farmland like 18 miles away from that military base, the drone base, no less, 18 miles away, easily surveilled from that location. You're saying you're not going to let it happen in South Dakota.
Well, it's interesting, Eric, because in that area up there in North Dakota, they said they were going to build a corn processing plant on those acres. There isn't enough corn in that area to support that type of a processing facility. So we know that there was other intentions, that were being planned for those acres. We know that China doesn't tell the truth and that they're not going to inform us on what all their plans are with our land here in the United States. And that's why I'm going to make sure I'm protecting Ellsworth Air Force Base, that I'm not going to allow China or other enemies that hate us to buy our land. They're not going to be neighbors to our farmers and ranchers here in South Dakota, and I'm hoping this legislation will be supported and passed.
It's fantastic. It's great for the state of South Dakota. It may even be a great policy for the United States.